Hi guys, welcome back to the shop. Today I guess I'm gonna have to make a flywheel puller for the uh, ignition setup that I'm putting on the AT-1 MX. Uh, for some reason I don't have one that fits. Out of all these, nothing fits. And I actually ordered this one for it uh, by application. Because either a YZ or an MX 125, they said this one would fit. No fit. So I did some preliminary measuring here, and it's kind of hard to do it this way because it just doesn't make a lot of sense. And I really thought I was going to need a 19 millimeter. That's what I assumed anyway. But there is no 19 millimeter. And if I really get in here and carefully get next to the thread, and I'm getting closer to 20. So I'm going to try to make one 20. And I do know the thread size. I used my pitch gauge, and it shows to be 1.5 pitch. So I'm going to go for an 18 or a 20 millimeter in a 1.5 pitch, and just make it myself. It would take another week to get here, and if the mail gets here in time, and I just don't need a bunch more of these that I don't have any use for. And at some point in time, I've used all these, but it just gets to a point where if I think I've got some material to work with, I'm just going to make one. So why don't you go along with the ride with me here, and let's make a flywheel / rotor puller. Okay, come up with a piece of DOM pipe, drawn over mandrel. It's a seamless pipe, and I use quite a bit of it if I can because it machines pretty well, and it without having the seam in it, it's structurally more sound. What I need to do is I need to have it big enough that I can accommodate the threads in the rotor, and big enough on the inside that'll fit over the crankshaft. And it just needs to fit over the threaded part. So that's a plus right there. I won't have to machine anything, or won't have to machine the inside anyway. And for if this is in fact 20 millimeter like I think it is, then my major diameter should be 20 millimeter or thereabouts, within reason. And we are at least that almost 22.5 millimeters. So let me get this set up in the lathe, kind of get a plan of attack, and I'll bring you over. Okay, just a quick check here to make sure I'm square with the chuck, and looks like I am. And I'm going to take off I think to right about here is where my threading is going to be to, but the total length of the puller probably doesn't need to be more than about right there. So I've got, let's see, what did I measure that at? a little over 22, almost 22 and a half. And we need to get down to 20 on the millimeters. So let's do that first. Let's see what we ended up with here. Okay. I think that will work. 20.01. So that's our baseline of our thread then. Let me clean that off a little bit. I'm going to put a little bluing on that just so that you can kind of tell what's going on with the threading part. Now, just a little disclaimer here is that I do threading once or twice a year, so it doesn't come second nature to me. I'm sure real machinists will and could pick this apart, but I don't claim to be one. I just play one on TV, so they say. So the first thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to take my scratch pass and just check to make sure my thread is what I want it to be. So let's give that a whirl here. Make sure I've got everything engaged that I need. I'm waiting on my dial to come around here. I'm going to start it on 1 on this right here. I'm going to call that a good on my threads. Okay, what I want here is, this is my thread pitch for 1.5, and it looks like the right thread. So I've got the machine set up properly. I'm going to just leave the half nut engaged here I don't do this often enough to keep up with it, so I don't want to do it again. So I'm gonna do it this way. I'm gonna give another test fit here. Okay, gets tight there pretty quick within maybe 3 threads. So we'll take a little more out. All right, I think we're doing pretty good here. We just about got it. It's a good tight thread. But it goes in. Okay. And that's all the way up to the inside there. So I think that's going to work good. And once it's in there, there's no rock to that, so that's a full thread engagement. I'll just clean it up a little bit. Fuzz off the threads. And I think we're going to cut it right there. All right, I think what I'm kind of thinking here is to weld a nut onto the top of it, and that way you've got your pusher that goes against the crankshaft. You could do it several ways, but I think that's what I'm going to do. I've made them in the past where you can thread this part, but this part's too big for to even thread with a 1/2 inch. So it'd have to be, geez, like 9/16 or something. That'd be huge. This here I think will do us just fine. I'll just TIG weld the nut on, and that should be just fine. And here's there's our fit. And I think you can see that down inside it's all the way up to the bottom of the seat there where the threads are. Yeah, that would have been a bad situation to get this on and not be able to get it off while I'm trial fitting and everything the mag setup for that AT-1 MX. So let me get my welder set up and I'll take care of the finishing touches here. Okay, we're going to black oxide this just like the others, and we'll just run it through the degreaser a little bit. Rinse it off and put it in the black oxide. I don't know how good the bolt is going to react, but the rest of it looks like it's doing pretty good. The bolt, I did sandblast all the zinc off of it, but sometimes they don't take as well as bare metal. Yeah, it looks like it's changing. Takes about 5 minutes in here. Okay, it's looking fairly good. Once you get the color you want, this is a little lighter than usual, but then you put it in the oil that comes with the kit. It's just for this, and it seals that coating. We'll get it out of here. Just wipe it off. Yeah, the bolt didn't take as good as the other stuff, the other part. It still looks about right. So there we go. Okay, so there's our puller for the AT-1 MX. I was just worried about that if I put that on there I wouldn't be able to get it off. Now I have a puller. There it is. So there's our puller. Looks just about as good as a factory made one, and will certainly work just as well. So just a little bit of effort. Of course, it does take the tools, but this has just been a dream of mine to be able to do all this stuff, and it hasn't been forever that I've been able to have all the tooling and everything. So it's a goal that I had very early on, and I just started heading that way. And the goal was to be able to do a lot of this stuff by the time I retired, and here I am. So anyway, hey, thanks guys for going along on the ride. We'll see you next video.